Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us again today. We have another treat for you today. It's going to be about unconditional self-love and unconditional self-care. And we all need that in the stresses of today's world. Definition of self-love is to regard for one's own well-being and happiness. And self-care is the practice of taking action to preserve or improve one's own health. And today we have with us Alia Jamal. She is joining us from New Jersey. Welcome. I want to give you a little bit of background for her. She is the love coach and pranitic healer. I hope I said that right. Healer who is dedicated to help women connect with unconditional love within themselves. She combines her 10-year experience in cytogenic study of human behavior and human energy body to help her clients. She helps them eliminate fears, anxiety, guilt, and judgments and create a life of love and power. Besides helping her clients living as their true, authentic self, she loves trees, meditation, and reading. So welcome today, Ali, and thank you for joining us, and thank you for sharing. I can't wait to hear what you have for us today. So welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's truly a pleasure to have a conversation about unconditional self-love, because this is my passion, and the reason I use the word unconditional self-love, because we all love ourselves to some extent. We all do. Where we need to extend it to the part where it becomes unconditional is if we are holding these things within ourselves, our past trauma. We'll heal it out of that place of unconditional self love for when we feel anxiety, we're feeling some unprocessed fear that we have not gone to the other side, and we have not discovered who we really are in our whole power. Once we discovered that through the path of unconditional self-love, we discover how powerful we are. There's no fear. There's no need to have any kind of fear. Then there would be only biological fear. Just run if you see a dog come chasing at you. Maybe the dog just want to play, but we tend to get scared. So then we will be just facing the biological fears. And a key part of the work that I do, I help women heal their heart, because heart energy is not something we get to learn a lot about when we go into self development. You would learn a lot about mindset and your beliefs and whatnot. But energetically, we hold our trauma in the back of our heart, energetical heart, in our energy body. That's where we hold everything. Our thoughts and emotions are energy, so we hold it in our energy body. And when there is so much trauma there, uh, as a natural mechanism, our body creates a wall around our heart. It's called a heart wall. It's energetical heart wall. That's when we start keeping ourselves to ourselves. So we have a different face that we put out for the world, but no one ever get to see who we truly are, because we don't even feel safe being that person. Usually it starts in early childhood. So when I help women work their way through that wall and dissolve it, heal their trauma, and help them come out 100%, they discover that I'm somebody completely different that I thought I would be. And that's when they start falling in love with themselves, and it's unconditional. And we come to a place where there's nothing you can ever do wrong. Yes, we always learn from whatever we are going through, but then you don't worry about, did I do this right? Is there something wrong with me? Am I worthy of having this? All of that starts to disappear with the power of unconditional self-love.
Yes, I love that. It's so important. It just rings true and reminds me of, you see so many people trying to find someone that makes them happy. They're looking for someone else, but and it usually is just an unhealthy relationship. It's out of balance. And so many people need to focus on finding out who they are, and like you said, loving themselves, and then they'll be ready for a healthy relationship then. So
Yeah.
that's wonderful. I'm glad you're sharing that.
Yeah. And from a very young age, we do get exposed to emotion of love. So it's like, the happy ending in Cinderella. We start seeing the happy end understanding and the love and building that family and life together. But we don't understand what is energy of love. Energy of love is a universal energy. It heals anything it touches, and it's very different than emotion of love. Emotion of love has an attachment piece to it. I would always be attached to another person, and it's like a tug of war. You need to complete me, or you give me this, and then I'll give you this. But when we start to connect with our own heart, we get in touch with that universal energy of love, and then we get to share that love together. So the clients that I work, if they are married, their marriage just becomes so much better. All of a sudden, they feel so loved by themselves that the other person doesn't have to carry that responsibility for them.
Yeah. Because that's a heavy responsibility. And a lot of times that's a downfall of relationships
Yeah,
because people put so much pressure on one another. They're
yeah,
demanding certain things from people, but they don't, it is a give and take. And a lot of times, well, I think of the biggest reason for relationship issues is selfishness, you know?
yeah,
So
yeah.
it
and
really,
and also that expectation, like, why this person is not doing all this for me, I am doing all this for you. So when we step into unconditional self-love, we just realize we start to see other people from the eyes of love, not the emotion of love, but energy of love. So we start to see, oh, we just have different values. It's not that there's something wrong with my spouse or the person that I am after. We just have different values. So then the understanding becomes so much more deeper than just trying to tug at each other.
that's really powerful. It's really good. People don't really realize that they need to take that deeper look into those things. That's great. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
sharing there. When I think of self love, I'm thinking, all the physical things, the proper sleep, rest, read a book, bath soak, shower, take a hike, exercise,
yeah,
a bath soak, body maintenance, So these are those inward things that you're talking about. We think about eating, the vitamins, proper water and priorities, or music and audiobook and podcasts. But I think these things tend to make us busy, to kind of like we're always going on the outside and trying to do these things. And a lot of what we need is looking inward, like you're saying. Um,
yeah.
so
I explain unconditional self-love. There's three stages to it. So the first one is self-care. So if someone is taking care of themselves, they're going for yoga, they're going for a hike, they're drinking good water, good food. So they are kind of like, they're becoming, okay, I need to take care of myself. So after that comes the part where we become self-aware. That's when a person is like, oh, I think like this about myself, this person think like this about me. They just start to become aware about their own thoughts. The more they take care of themselves, because they are most likely spending alone time with themselves. But after that comes another level, a self-acceptance. And self-acceptance is where unconditional self-love is. A lot of people, they go into mindfulness, and they're like, I'm being so mindful, I am in self-love. Yes, you're in self-love, but not unconditional self-love. There's still some things we are holding on to that we haven't accepted about ourselves.
and so
We are
you
still wishing. Go
help.
ahead.
So you help people find the keys to help, say, like I think of prayer or meditation or, decluttering, getting alone, take away your phone, things like that. You think of hugs, all these kinds of things, but you're saying doing something daily and inward, or you can help people find those things to help unlock that or help them. How do you help people reach
So
that?
I take them through a three-step process. The first process is release.
Okay.
If we are holding on to so much within us, so much toxicity, and people say like, oh, I cut out all the toxic person from my life, people from my life, because I'm just going into self-love. We are the most toxic person in our life
You're right.
most of the time. Like,
Yeah.
we don't even realize how toxic we are in our thoughts towards ourselves.
Mhm.
So it's not that I need to cut out all these people, I need to better my relationship with myself. So in the release process, we release all the things, thoughts, memories, incidents, our beliefs that are creating that toxicity. And in the second stage, we connect with our heart, and we start to connect with that soul that lives through us, that keeps us alive. So I call it soul love as well, because you're actually falling in love with the soul that lives through you. That that life, once it leaves, we are just a body. And then the last part is that's when we get to use our creative faculties, and we get to create whatever we want to create ourselves to be. So it's like you rediscover yourself. We create a different identity. Human are the only one who have that power, that we can recreate, reinvent ourselves as many times as we want. You can be one person for a decade and be a completely different person in the next decade. Animals don't have that ability, we do. And that comes from, like, just being in that place of detachment, not being attached to anything from our past, and just keep moving forward, um, like a feather.
You,
That's a place of unconditional self-love.
do you feel like journaling in a daily gratitude or gratitude journal? And I think a key, I think of what I think of hearing you say what you just did is where you forgive yourself. A lot of times, through religions, we have acceptance and forgiveness, and we know that with our creator. But we a lot of times will go on or continue our life never forgiving ourselves. And that's where a lot of
Yeah.
this, would you agree?
Yeah, that is the part. Like, I was just having a call with a potential client, and one of the question I said, are you angry at yourself or the other person? And she gave it a thought, and she's like, I'm angry at myself.
Yeah.
So all the pain goes away when we forgive ourselves. And people, they say, like, this person did this to me and I'm having a hard time forgiving. My first response is, did you forgive yourself? Because if you forgive yourself, if you stop criticizing yourself, you can never hold that against someone else. Like, I would never criticize someone else if I'm not doing it to myself. If I have forgiven myself, it's so easy to forgive anybody. So you're so right. Doing that, journaling, working on forgiving ourselves every single day.
I know with me, where I had not forgiven myself, I was in this daily battle. The battle was in here, and I was like Jekyll and Hyde, and I was running out here to try to do all the right things to earn God's acceptance and love. But I was hated myself. I was because I couldn't control this anger. But I think when I finally forgave myself, learned to love myself, I had the breakage. And I didn't want anyone to know I was like that for all those years. That was, your little the little devil on your shoulder talking in your ear. And once you're free of that, you don't care who knows, because you're not under that
Yeah,
bondage anymore. And so that's amazing. It sounds like that's a lot of what you kind of help people and guide that to that as
yeah,
well. So I know
yeah.
you have an amazing story too. I would, if folks want to get, reach out to you and talk with you, I'll put in your information. I'll get that from you. And anything else you'd like to share today? I know we're running out.
I wanna
Mhm.
I want to share, like, a little bit that you talked about, like, if we are, calling ourselves religious and we are practicing any religion, it is very easy. Like, we are seeking that forgiveness from God, and we are seeking that acceptance and all of that. But just realizing that God lives through us too.
Yes.
If He created me, and how can I hate that creation? So how can I hate myself? So every time I criticize myself, I'm criticizing God's creation.
Mm-hmm.
So if we look at it from the religion's eyes, it's like, you're not supposed to
Exactly.
do that, but we do it all the time. That's why it's so crucial to love ourselves. Every fully love ourselves, I consider it as an act of worship.
Yes. It's so
To
true.
me, like, eating good food, putting good water in our body, going for regular exercise, these are all acts of worship, because I am nurturing what God created.
Exactly. And he loved us at every stage. He knows everything from the beginning to end. And we're the ones that's so hard on ourselves. And it's just we've been conditioned. I've read some of your posts before, what we've been told, how we
Yeah.
should be and how we, all these, judgments and stuff. So it's very freeing. Thank you for sharing that.
It it really is freeing. And then all the judgment and criticism that we are holding on to, usually it's it's either the our mom's voice or our dad's voice, or like somebody of authority who was around us in our childhood. It's their voice, and it's not that they meant any harm, but they didn't know when a child is between the age of 0 to 7, we are in alpha wavelength, which is pretty much hypnotic brain wavelength.
Mhm.
So it's like, we are in hypnosis. So anything we hear, it stays with us like we are little sponge and we are just absorbing us. And then when we become adult, we are in our 20s or 30s, the same music box is playing in our mind and we're like, why it's here? But we cannot tell that it's not ours. So as we start to separate from that voice, that that's not my voice. Mommy was saying that because I wasn't going to the potty and she wanted me to drink my vegetables. That's why she said those words. When we realize that, we start to discover our own voice, the voice of our soul, that's so loving, it's nurturing, it's guiding us all the time.
This is so needed. Everybody's so hard on themselves. So I really hope the message gets out and gets shared. And
Thank you.
all of you that are listening, please do share and we'll put the information. I know you have another appointment coming up, so I don't want to keep you. Thank you, Roxy, for joining us. If you have anything you'd like to share, we'll get some final thoughts here. Please share your
No, thank you so much. It's very informative and very deep.
right. Well, thank you so much. And please, folks, don't forget to forgive yourself and reach out to the love coach and get on your way to, life is short. Let's, if you're not happy with yourself and love yourself, then that's where it begins. So, Alia, any final words?
No, no, that's all. Thank you
All
so
right.
much for having me. And, if anyone is watching, please reach out to me. I do a weekly free workshop every Thursday. You can just come into my world. You can join that, start learning about yourself.
Okay. And you can be found on Facebook here. And do you have a Facebook page or a website that you could share?
So it's on my Facebook page. I think you're gonna post this on Facebook. So
Yeah.
it's on my Facebook
There.
page every Thursday. It's
All right.
there.
And I'll
Yeah.
probably upload this on YouTube too, and I'll share that with you guys. Okay. Well, y'all have
Okay.
a great evening. Thanks again for being on our show, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.